You'll notice I have my layers that I created in my other document in this document. When you pasted, if that didn't happen, it means that you didn't have Paste Remembers layers turned on. So go ahead and turn on that feature and paste them again if you didn't get your layers. Now let's take a look at the template that I created. If you click on the Artboard tool, you'll notice that each artboard has a name and a number. That's important because when we export the SVG files, we're going to tell Illustrator to actually use those artboards and it will pick up those names. Okay, so I'm going to get the Direct Select tool. Another thing you'll notice is I have a little label out here to kind of guide us on what goes on these pages. So we have main color, contrasting color, lining, and stabilizer. So what we're going to do is, for now, we're going to use the Alt Drag feature, and we're going to make the necessary copies of each of the pattern pieces and simply put them to the left of the type of fabric that they are. So any exterior pieces are going to go here, the lining pieces will go here, and fusible fleece here. So let's do that. Okay, 2 exterior, I've got those here. I need 2 of these, so I'm going to make a copy of that, and I need 1 exterior here. So at this point, I could delete the ones I'm not using for this description. There. Okay, now I'm going to go down and double check my linings. Okay, now let's go down to the fusible fleece. Now, one of the things that it says for the fusible fleece is that once you cut the pattern pieces, you want to trim them to the seam allowance. Well, we can trim them now and save us material and time. So what I'm going to do is select all of the vectors, then go to the Object menu, select Path, and then Offset Path. I'm going to drag this over here so we can see it. And the offset is going to be 3/8 of an inch. So once again, I'm just going to type in the 3/8. Oh, it's going to be minus because I want it to go in. I'm going to select miter. Miter is good. And the miter limit doesn't matter. And you can see the preview here. So if you ever want to take a peek to make sure you've got it going in the right direction, you can click and turn off the preview. And now click OK. Now we can simply select the outer vectors and delete them. Let's go up to the top and we'll start laying these out on the template. I usually start with my biggest pieces, so I'm going to drag this one in. And how you lay these out kind of depends on the direction of the fabric. I like to give myself the most options down the road with different fabrics, so I probably wouldn't put one of these in one direction and the other one in the other direction, just in case I have a snakeskin print or something like that that needs to have the pattern pieces going in the same direction. So now I'm going to grab the other one and bring it in. And you can snap it to this one and then, whoops, snap it to this one and then drag it straight down. I like to save material. So one of the things that I like to do is I always leave one of my pattern pieces whole so that I have the option of duplicating it if I want to do something different in the future. But what I'm going to do is there's a straight line at the bottom of this piece. I'm going to select the center node because it's going to get this line and this line. And I'm going to hit the delete key on the keyboard. Now I'm going to select all of this and move it up. Now if it doesn't snap, you can always go to this point right here, and then with the shift key down, drag it over, and it's perfectly aligned. Okay, so there's those two. And now I'm going to bring this pattern piece over, and of course that's not going to fit down here, so I'm going to put that on a new page. And these straps can actually rotate, and they should look good, but depends on how you're cutting out your other strap. But I'm just going to do this, and I'm actually going to delete one because it's just as easy to do it this way. And once again, I'm going to delete this line, then select everything and nudge it right up. There we go. We're going to snap it to this point so they're perfectly aligned. And we can put the 1-inch square on each one of these. Our exterior color is done. Let's go down to our lining. Okay, once again, I'm going to start with the biggest pieces. So let's bring these two over. Nudge that right up. Once again, I'm going to delete this middle piece right here because that is straight. And we're going to line this one up. So I'm snapping it to this point and bringing it over. Now what do we have? Now I'm going to pay attention to direction because I'm not going to rotate these linings here. But I do believe I can probably fit one here. And let's grab this and put it here. That's looking good. Now I only have one of these, so I'm not going to delete this line, but I'm going to snug that up a little more. There. Now this one I have two of, so I can keep this one intact and delete that line here. There's a technical name for what we're doing here when we use one line to cut between two objects. It's called common line cutting, and it saves time and money. Now we could make a decision here. I'm going to bring this over. It may be cheaper because we're wasting a little bit of fabric here and we have a mat going over here, is to bring this over to this mat now. Okay, so once again, I'm going to delete the line in between. Make sure I leave at least one piece whole, and we can bring that up. And that's the most efficient layout that we can make with the lining. Okay, let's put our 1-inch square on each one. And then we'll move down to the fusible fleece. Okay, so let's drag this one over. Now the fusible fleece is different than cutting out the fabric because we don't care about direction. So what I'm going to do is hit the R key on the keyboard and rotate this so I can cut one line between the two pattern pieces. Now I'm going to bring this up. There we go. There we go. Let's bring this one over. I'm going to delete that line in between and snap this together. So let's bring this over here. I'm going to hit the R key and rotate it. And if you want, you could actually delete this one and just duplicate this one. And then one more. Now, this might be one case where I'm really not going to make a ton of design choices when it comes to fusible fleece. So in this case, I will actually delete this line here and bring this up. There. Okay, now we're going to put our boxes on. Both the Cricut and the Cameo don't like fonts, so I'm going to select all of the font objects by going to the Select menu, selecting Object, and then All Text Objects. Now with all of those text objects selected, I'm going to go to the Type menu and select Create Outlines. Now they're all vector outlines. Now these won't output because they're off the artboards, so I don't really have to worry about those. Now we need to delete all of the unused artboards. So I'm going to open the artboard panel, and if you don't have this open, it's under the Windows menu. These artboards are numbered from left to right. So the exterior main color, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So I can see that I'm not using 3, 4, and 5. So here's my exterior main color. I'm going to select 3, 4, 5 and hit the delete button. The next one is exterior contrasting color, and I'm not using any of them. So I'm going to click to select the top one, hold down the Shift key, click to select the bottom one, and hit the delete button. Okay, for the lining, I'm not using 4 and 5. And for the fusible fleece, I'm not using 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to save the file, and we already named it in the last video. Time to create the SVG files. So go to the File menu, select Export, and then Export As. Navigate to the location where you want to save the files, and if desired, create a folder. Go ahead and double click on that new folder to get in there. Set the Save As type to SVG, and this is where the magic happens. We want to tick the option to use artboards and select all. Now click the Export button. When the SVG options window appears, I generally leave the decimal setting to 4 and click OK. And Illustrator just created every one of the SVG files that we need to create this bag. In the video's description, there's a link to the Blue Collar Lilac Messenger bag. It's a free pattern. There's also a link in the description to download all of the templates for the different cutting machines from my Dropbox. It's a free link. The templates are also available in the Cutting Machines for Sewists Facebook group if you go to the Files section. Okay, have fun, enjoy, and I hope this takes a little bit of the mystery out of using Illustrator to process PDF sewing patterns.